Chapter 30. Penny, wearing one of his t-shirts, sat across the breakfast table watching him. Daisy lay at her feet, looking up adoringly every time Penny's hand dipped below the table with a morsel of food. "You're staring," Matt said, noticing Penny's gaze. "I like looking at you." He hadn't slept well last night. After arriving home, he'd tried watching television, given up, and gone to bed, only to have sleep elude him. He'd lain there, staring up into the darkness, trying not to think of Penny in New York. When she called to say her flight was landing and that she'd be late getting home, he'd felt a wave of relief wash over him. Still, he'd tossed and turned until he heard her enter the house at 2:30. He'd closed his eyes and feigned sleep. It wasn't until she slipped between the sheets and pressed against him that he'd finally drifted off. He remembered her kiss on his cheek. He fiddled with his eggs. He'd overcooked them. "Jen is running." "What does that mean?" Penny asked. "It means she found out they were going to arrest her and took off." "What happens now?" she asked, wolfing down her eggs. "We need to be careful. Do you know how to use a pistol?" "Are you not eating those?" She pointed to his plate. He looked at his half-empty plate. "I overcooked them." She pushed her plate aside and pulled his across the table. "I've never touched a pistol." "It's time you learned," Matt said. "Is that necessary? The pistol, I mean." "It can't hurt." Penny's hand paused midway to Daisy. "You think she'd come after me?" "I don't know, but she's escalating. First the hitman, then shooting up the place herself. I don't want to take chances." Penny finished her eggs before speaking. "You weren't sleeping when I got home last night." She let the statement hang. "I heard you come in." He rose, suddenly wanting to escape the kitchen table. "Matt, wait. Why won't you talk to me about this?" He knew she meant her date, her appointment, or whatever she called it. "We said later." "It is later." "I meant later, later." She stood and came to him. The t-shirt she wore exposed most of her thighs. He knew she wore nothing underneath. She wrapped her arms around his neck. "Kiss me," she said. He kissed her and let his hands slide down to her firm ass. She pulled back, laughing. "There you go, playing with my ass again." "I told you, I like your ass." "Want to play nasty cop? Innocent citizen?" "I'll be the nasty cop," she said, her eyes twinkling as she spoke. He pulled her back to him. "Why don't I be the nasty cop?" "Because it's more fun when I am." She kissed him again before pulling back. "You didn't answer me." "This is eating at you, isn't it?" "I'm fine." "Liar," she said softly without heat. "But I'll let it go. For now." Matt remembered something else. "My sister wants to meet you." Penny's eyes widened. "Kat? The FBI agent? Did you tell her about us?" "I didn't have to. Word travels fast in law enforcement. She heard through the grapevine." "When?" "I wanted to talk to you first before agreeing to anything." Penny nodded. "I'm ready. Let's do it." "You sure?" "Kat can be intense." "I can handle intense." Penny smiled, giving Daisy another piece of bacon. "Your dog clearly approves of me. Let's see if your sister does too." Matt barely cleared his driveway when the call from Joe came. "Barry," he answered, switching to the speaker as he stopped at the intersection. "You need to come down to the station right away," Joe said. Matt felt a cold knot form in his stomach. "What's going on?" "McKnight died last night," Joe said. "Fuck." Matt's grip tightened on the steering wheel as an image of Penny flashed before him. "How is that possible?" "It looks like an overdose. The medical examiner is there now." "An overdose while in custody," Matt said. "You know how it is," Joe replied. "Contraband finds a way in. Guards get paid off. Happens more than anyone wants to admit." "I just talked to the guy," Matt said, mostly to himself. His bullshit meter was bouncing in the red. "Where are you?" "Just leaving." "Does anyone else know yet?" Matt asked, thinking of Penny. "Chief's calling the DA now." "I'll be there in 15, Matt said, accelerating through an intersection. Matt ended the call and pulled over to the curb, his mind racing. Penny. She needed to know her father was dead. He stared at his phone for a long moment, his thumb hovering over her name in his contacts. He could turn around right now, drive back home and tell her in person. She'd be devastated. But then what? She'd insist on coming to the station immediately, demanding answers he didn't have. What could he tell her? That her father somehow got drugs in jail and overdosed? That the man who maintained his innocence had suddenly accidentally killed himself? No, Matt decided, pocketing his phone. Better to learn the facts first. He needed to see the scene, talk to the ME, review the security footage. If he went to Penny now, he'd have nothing concrete to offer. No explanation, no context. Nothing that might help her make sense of this new tragedy. He pulled back onto the road, accelerating toward the station, his mind churning with questions. This felt wrong. All of it. The jail occupied the back portion of the Vista Ridge PD building. Matt entered through the one door available to the public, showed his badge, and checked his weapon. Joe met him and escorted Matt back to McKnight's cell, where two crime scene investigators worked. The cell door consisted of vertical steel bars with a horizontal crossbar, offering a clear view inside, and more importantly, allowing anyone from the outside to observe the occupant. The small 8 by 10 space contained only the essentials: a metal bunk bolted to the wall, a stainless steel toilet sink combo unit, and nothing else. They removed the body about an hour ago, Joe said. Matt noticed signs of vomiting on the edge of the bunk and on the floor. His gaze traveled upward to the surveillance camera mounted in the corner of the corridor. Its lens pointed directly at McKnight's cell. Another camera at the opposite end provided a different angle. Then he spotted the guard tower that overlooked the entire cell block, a raised platform where a guard should have had an unobstructed view of everything below. Did they find drugs? Matt asked. Yeah, tested positive for heroin. They did the marquee test at the scene, dropped some of the residue in the reagent, and it turned purple. Matt nodded. He'd run those tests countless times during his career. The quick color change tests officers use to establish probable cause before sending substances to the lab for confirmation. How the hell did he get it? Matt asked, examining the small cell. That's being investigated, Joe replied. Who caught the case? Reynolds and Diaz. Right now they're treating it as an accidental overdose. That's bullshit, Matt snapped. McKnight wasn't a user, and overdosing right when a third body turns up that proves he couldn't be our killer? That's one hell of a coincidence. I know how it looks, Joe said, but they're waiting for the autopsy results and the ME's official conclusion. Standard procedure. What about the video? Matt gestured toward the surveillance camera. The detention facility has cameras covering every angle. There was a fire in the electrical room. Video appears to have been out. Matt turned his attention to the guard tower that overlooked the entire detention facility. What about the guard? Perfect view of McKnight's cell from up there. He left his post to help with the fire. And nobody made rounds? Nobody walked by? Nobody brought him food? Matt's voice rose with each question. Keep it down, Joe warned. You saw the body? Matt asked. Joe pointed at the bunk. He was lying on the bunk, the needle on the floor. Typical overdose. I've seen 100 of them. So have you. It makes no sense, Matt said, shaking his head. Joe touched him on the elbow and motioned with his head toward an empty space below the tower, away from the crime scene techs. Matt followed him. Who's going to interview the guards? Matt asked once they were alone. Internal Affairs is handling that part. I want to sit in. Matt, you need to let the system run its course, Joe said. Let things play out. Something stinks here, Joe. You know it as well as I do. I know, but rushing in half-cocked isn't going to help anyone. We need to be smart about this. Matt's jaw tightened. He knew Joe was right, but patience had never been his strong suit, especially when his instincts were screaming that something was wrong. Does Penny know yet? Joe asked in a low voice. Number I'm not looking forward to telling her. They will call her mother. If you want to be the one to tell her, you better do it soon. Matt left the Vista Ridge jail and headed toward his truck. He waited until he was seated behind the wheel before he punched Penny's number. Hey, she said, voice bright. I was just thinking about you. Want to know what I was thinking? Her voice was teasing. Penny, he said, his tone signaling something was wrong. I need you to meet me at the house. A pause. What's happened? I'd rather not talk about it over the phone. Matt, you're scaring me. Her voice had lost its brightness. Is it Mom? Is she okay? Your mom's fine, he assured her quickly. But I need you to come home. Now, please. Another pause, longer this time. It's Dad, isn't it? Matt closed his eyes. Please, just come home. I'll be waiting. I'm on my way, she said, and the line went dead. The drive from UTD's campus to Matt's house would take her at least 30 minutes in good traffic. He would be there in half that time. He spent the drive rehearsing what he would say, how he would say it. No approach seemed right. When her car pulled into the driveway, Matt met her at the door. One look at his face and she froze on the threshold. Tell me, she demanded. Matt reached for her hand. Come sit down. No. She pulled away from him. Just tell me what's happened to my father. Matt took a deep breath. Penny, I'm so sorry. Your father was found dead in his cell this morning. The color drained from her face. For a long moment, she didn't move or speak. Then her knees buckled slightly, and Matt caught her arm, guiding her to the couch. How? She whispered. It appears to be an overdose, Matt said. Penny's head snapped up. Bullshit. My dad never used drugs. Never. I know. That's what I thought too. Someone killed him, she said. Someone murdered my father. Matt didn't contradict her. The official finding right now is an accidental overdose. Heroin. That's impossible, Penny insisted. He wouldn't. He couldn't. How would he even get heroin in jail? That's ridiculous. I know it doesn't add up. What's going to happen now, she asked. Matt sat beside her. There will be an investigation. Penny laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. An investigation? By who? The same people who arrested him? The same people who let him die in their custody? They're not going to investigate anything. They're going to call it an overdose and close the case. Penny, don't you see? This is perfect for them. The case is closed. They don't have to admit they arrested the wrong person. They don't have to explain how 3 teenagers ended up dead. They just stamp case closed on the file and move on. Her voice cracked. And my father is dead. Matt took her hands in his. I'm not going to let that happen. What can you do? I'll find out what happened, he promised. No matter what the official finding is, I will get to the truth. Penny searched his face. You believe me? That he wouldn't use drugs. I do. The timing is too convenient. Another body turns up, proving your father couldn't be the killer, and suddenly he's found dead of an overdose? It doesn't add up. She nodded. I need to go to my mom, she said suddenly. She must be devastated. I'll take you, Matt said immediately. You shouldn't be driving right now. Penny curled up on the couch, her legs tucked beneath her as she switched from the arguing talking heads on Fox to local Channel 3. Despite everything, there was a certain lightness about her that hadn't been there a few days ago when she'd left for Wichita Falls. You don't have to watch this, Matt said, nodding toward the television where a promo for the upcoming news segment played. We talked about it already. I need to see it, Penny replied. I need to know what they're saying. Matt nodded. He'd told her earlier what was coming. Kat's carefully orchestrated press conference announcing the case was closed and had suggested they skip the news altogether. But Penny had insisted on watching. The news anchor's voice broke through their moment. We begin tonight with breaking news in the murders that have gripped our community. The prime suspect in the murders of Raymond Merrick and Edward Black is dead. We go now to a press conference held earlier today at police headquarters. The screen cut to the familiar briefing room at the Vista Ridge Police Department. Kat stood at the podium. Chief Wilson stood to her right, flanked by several grim-faced officers that Matt recognized. Good afternoon, Kat began. I'm Special Agent Kathleen Berry with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I'm joined by Chief Wilson of the Vista Ridge Police Department to announce that the primary suspect in the murders of Raymond Merrick and Edward Black is deceased. Matt watched Penny's face as she stared at the screen. Reed McKnight was found dead in his cell 3 days ago. Initial findings indicate death by accidental drug overdose. The county medical examiner will conduct a full autopsy, but we have no reason to suspect foul play at this time. Chief Wilson stepped forward. Through diligent investigative work by our department, in collaboration with the TBI and FBI, we had built a substantial case against Mr. McKnight For the murders of Raymond Merrick and Edward Black. He cleared his throat. With McKnight's death, we consider these cases effectively closed. What about Becky Johnson? Shouted a reporter off camera. Kat seamlessly reclaimed the podium. The investigation into Becky Johnson's murder remains active and ongoing. While we see no direct evidence linking McKnight to Ms. Johnson's death, given his incarceration at the time, we are exploring all possibilities, including potential accomplices or copycat scenarios. A reporter called out, "What was McKnight's motive?" Our investigation indicates that McKnight's actions were retaliatory in nature, Kat replied smoothly. As many of you know, his daughter was allegedly victimized by the deceased young men. While we cannot condone vigilante justice, we believe this was a primary motivating factor. Penny's hand tightened around her glass. Matt reached over and placed his hand on her knee, a silent gesture of support. Is this case definitively closed? Another reporter asked. Chief Wilson returned to the microphone. We are confident that Reed McKnight was responsible for these tragic deaths. His death, while depriving the victims' families of the closure a trial might have provided, effectively ends this chapter for our community. Kat nodded in agreement. We hope the families of Raymond Merrick and Edward Black can find some measure of peace in knowing that justice, while not delivered in a courtroom, has been served. Turn it off, Matt said, unable to stomach anymore. Penny pressed the power button on the remote. She looks good on TV, Penny said after a moment of silence. Polished, like she's done it 1,000 times. She has, Matt replied. She never misses a chance to get in front of the cameras. Do the two of you get along? Matt considered the question. I love my sister, he said finally. We just don't see eye to eye on most things. Why not? Matt leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Kat's in the power game, and she's in it to win. I believe, and this is just my opinion, when you play that game, it affects your judgment. The things you do and say, the way you think about people and evidence, it causes you to act differently and not always in the right way. And you? Penny asked, moving closer. What game are you playing? The warmth of her body and the lingering scent of her perfume made it hard for him to concentrate. I'm wired differently, he said. I'm not cut out for the game she plays. Never have been. It's why I'll never climb as high as she will, but I sleep better at night. Penny nodded. She leaned her head against his shoulder. You know, it's strange. I'm sad about Dad. He wasn't perfect, but he was still my father. Matt wrapped his arm around her shoulders. But there's something else, she continued. Relief, I think, that it's over, that I don't have to sit in that visiting room anymore, pretending everything's going to be okay. Is that terrible? Number, it's human. What happens now? With the case? Officially? Nothing. It's closed. And unofficially, Matt met her gaze. I keep looking.